My name is Brandon Walker, and I host the Brandon Walker College Football Show with Brandon Walker. Brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer. High Noon Hard Seltzer, the best drink in America. If you're watching a college football game, you're going to want a High Noon in your hand. If you're going to a tailgate, you're going to want a High Noon in your hand. If you're going to hang out with some friends to sit on their couch to watch the game, you're going to want a High Noon in your hand and then in your mouth. High Noon has the best drinks, the best flavors. I personally like the peach, but they've got so many good flavors. The watermelon, and I hate watermelon, anything else, but I love the watermelon High Noon. The lime is delicious. The lemon is delicious. The passion fruit is good. Brandon loves the pineapple. They've got the new pear flavor, which is in their tailgate pack, along with the cranberry, 2 new flavors for the fall. Guess they're not new anymore, but they're the newest flavors. Check those out. Enjoy them. This show brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer. I'm Brandon Walker. This is our first time here in a while. Hello, TJ.
Hello.
I suppose I have High Noon over my shoulder.
Yes, physical integration into the video the entire time.
That's the variety pack with 2 watermelon, 2 black cherry, 2 grapefruit, and 2 pineapple. So, get you one of those too. All right. So, first time we've been doing this in a while. Holidays happened. I had a nervous breakdown. Had to take a week off after holidays. That happened. Last week I went down to Mississippi to do some sponsor content. That happened. All in all, it's been about a month since we've been here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Probably, like 3.5 weeks.
Do you remember how to do the show?
It's barely any work.
Hello to BMH22, Jeff F. Baby, and LV, and Flapjack, and Matt Ray, Mark Struck, D. Jonesy, Baby Luigi says happy birthday, TJ. That's what D. Jonesy says. Mark, what's up, boys? What's up, everybody? I guess we got to tweet it out, make sure everybody gets in. Hammer TCU in the points. That's Flapjack. Apparently, Flapjack doesn't enjoy his money. Folks, TCU's a great story, phenomenal story, cute story. They've been doubted all year. I certainly doubted them, but come on, guys, come on. What are we really talking about? TCU's going to beat Georgia. TCU's going to keep it close with Georgia. Georgia's been waiting on this moment all year. It's coronation. TCU, listen, this ain't Michigan, all right? Michigan got here and shit the bed twice in a row. They shit the bed last year when Georgia scared them to death. They shit the bed this year when they let TCU win. Georgia ain't Michigan, all right? Georgia won the national title the night they beat Ohio State. 888-STOOL-22, 888-STOOL-22. You feel free to call me and tell me why I'm wrong, why TCU can cover, why TCU can win. I personally think Georgia, the night they beat Ohio State after getting outplayed, and Ohio State outplayed them. Ohio State was probably the better team that night. Georgia ended up winning. That's the kind of game when a team wins that, they're on a destined run. They're on a championship run. And Georgia's about to win their second straight national title since 1980. They went 40 years without one. Now they win 2 in a row. Brandon Walker, who are you cheering for? Well, I'll be cheering for Georgia because that's who I'm betting on. If I had bet on TCU, I'd cheer for TCU, but I am betting on Georgia to cover the 13.5. Actually, it's 12.5 for me. I bet it last night. As of right now, I think it's 13.5. So not only do I like the 13.5, I would move it to 19 or 20 and feel okay. I got some prop bets, some little side bets. I've got a little parlay for Stetson Bennett to score a touchdown, for Stetson Bennett to go over 275 yards passing and to throw a touchdown to Brock Bowers. That's like plus 800. I have a prop bet that is Brock Bowers to score 2 touchdowns at plus 400, and Brock Bowers, this one's just a sprinkle if you'd like to do it. I've got Brock Bowers to score 3 touchdowns plus 2,000. So I've got that. Brandon Reeves says, I'm getting married this weekend. Any advice? Yes, don't. That is my advice. Don't get married. Do not get married. You shouldn't do that. Hello, pussy is good. Am I done with this? Why am I still holding this? I'm done with that. All right. 888-STOOL-22. 888-STOOL-22. Is Pac-12 the deepest conference on paper next season, with Utah getting Cam Rising back again, by far the best quarterback conference in 2023 on paper? Well, Bo Nix is back. Michael Penix is back. Caleb Williams is back. Cam Rising back. Yeah, it's easily the best quarterback conference next year if you consider really the SEC starting over at quarterback, basically. KJ Jefferson's back. Will Rogers is back, but Bryce Young's gone. Anthony Richardson's gone. Will Levis is gone. ACC pretty much losing their quarterbacks. Yeah, Pac-12 is easily the best quarterback conference next year, and maybe the best conference, period. If we want to be honest, outside of Georgia, the SEC wasn't special this year. The SEC West wasn't very good. So I'm not just going to crown the SEC the best every year just to do it. So I think the Pac-12 with USC, as long as their defense improves next year, we're going to be good. The USC will be good. Utah will be good. Washington will be very good. So I think the Pac-12 not only could be the best quarterback conference, could be the best conference in the country next year. 888-STOOL-22. It's not L.A. or SoFi's choice for tailgating. People don't understand it was the playoff committee. I don't know what you're talking about. Shedeur Sanders, DJ, and Pac-12 too. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and count neither of those for right now. But, sure, they're technically there. I'm Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion Sanders, just has to prove it at the Division I level. He'll have that opportunity. If he does, we'll acknowledge that. DJ Uiagalelei hasn't proven it at this level. If he can't do it with Clemson talent around him, how's he going to do it with Oregon State talent around him? He goes to having a bunch of douchebags to a bunch of beavers, and it's just not going to work. Thoughts on FSU next year? I think they probably will be the favorite to win the ACC. I think the ACC will run through Clemson or Tallahassee. Then I feel very, very confident in that. I think they'll be very good. I think they'll be probably a dark horse playoff contender. Maybe not even dark horse. Thoughts on Sam Hartman to Notre Dame? I think that's exactly what Notre Dame needed. The quarterback didn't scare you. You weren't special offensively, and you go get a guy who's been special for 3 years. So now they take a step forward. 888-STOOL-22 is the number to call. Jordan Johnson says Oregon State going to be good next year too. Sure. Fine. Whatever. Devin Leary, thoughts? I think Kentucky is going to be a surprise team next year because they're massively upgrading a quarterback. And listen, if I shit on your quarterback correctly this year and you hillbillies didn't like it, you're going to be very confused next year when I praise you and say you've got one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC, because Devin Leary is a massive upgraded quarterback for Kentucky. That's just a fact. And they're adding a lot through the transfer portal. 888-STOOL-22. Thoughts on Tennessee landing the wide receiver transfer from Oregon? Yes, Rocky Top 53, great question. I don't give a good goddamn fuck about Tennessee landing a receiver transfer. Nobody here cares, you fucking hillbilly. Thank you. Fans of certain schools just think the sun rises and sets in their stadium. Like the sun rises on the east side of Neyland Stadium and sets on the west side, and anything in between is all that matters. Good Lord. Sorry, I don't know who will win tonight. Whatever, yada, 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 yada. I know who will win. Georgia will win. TCU's a great story. It's cute. Yay. Great season. Everybody doubted you. You know why they doubted you? Kind of had reasons. We have phone calls that I'll get to in a second. We have JT in Houston. Go ahead, JT in Houston.
Hey, Brandon. I got an interesting theory about you. I've been thinking about, for the last all season when it comes to Georgia and TCU. Earlier in the year, when people were saying TCU's only getting these wins because they're, beating backup quarterbacks and whatnot, there's 3 or 4 games where, the starter got knocked out.
Sure.
I don't think we're talking enough about how Georgia in last week's game against Ohio State and then last year's final against Bama, they knock out the wide receiver number 1, both Jamison Williams and now Marvin Harrison Jr., and then all of a sudden they kind of pull away or they get back into the ball game. If you're Quentin Johnson tonight, are you protecting him at all costs, hoping that they're not coming after him in the first, second quarter?
Yeah, Jameson Williams was a non-contact injury, right? That was an ACL. They didn't really take him out. They got lucky. They got really lucky, especially with Marvin Harrison Jr. because they would have lost that game if he doesn't get hurt. Now, it wasn't a dirty hit. There was a clean hit. It wasn't targeting. But Georgia has gotten very lucky by getting the best receiver out. And nobody talks about that as much as they talk about with TCU knocking 4 quarterbacks out in a row. But it's a good point. I don't know if it'll matter tonight. I don't know if Quentin Johnson. I think he could procreate and clone himself and have 3 of them, and it still wouldn't matter tonight. But maybe I'm just way off. All right, good stuff. Good way to be ready. 888 Stool 22. I'm very out of practice. Georgia can't cover the pass, Mr. Cold Grits. That's kind of true. They were 49th in the regular season in covering the pass, and then against Ohio State, they were just flat out bad. They do have a weakness against the pass, but they do not. They can really defend the run. So TCU won't. I don't think they'll have the balance they're used to having. But I don't think TCU is going to have a problem scoring. I see them scoring 28 points. I just don't think they can stop Georgia at all. I don't think they can slow them down. 888 Stool 22. TJ, what's this?
Your Christmas gift.
It's January 9th.
Flip that box so you don't dox the address.
So this is my Christmas gift from you?
Yep.
When did I give you your Christmas gift?
In my Venmo account over Christmas break sometime.
And have you and Katie compared Venmos?
No. I assume she made more. She does more.
Y'all haven't talked to each other?
No.
Okay. All right. So don't. I gave her way less. Okay. Because she's a woman. They don't need as much money to, right?
That's the South, baby.
I don't want to knock the packing peanuts out of this. Are you going to clean it up?
No.
Well, I don't want to clean it up. Because I got to go right after this.
All right, I'll clean it up.
All right, here we go. Here's my It's very TJ.
Yep.
It's a Mississippi State Santa Claus. It's a Mississippi State Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's January the 8th.
You like Mississippi State.
It's January the 8th.
You weren't here.
It's a Mississippi State Santa Claus figurine.
Yeah.
TJ, I've Venmo'd you $250 goddamn dollars.
Right. You don't know how much that costs. It's limited edition. It says right on the box.
But it it's just a kid talking to Santa Claus who's wearing a Mississippi State logo on his red suit.
You love Mississippi State.
Thank you, TJ. TJ, I sent you $250. You got me a Santa Claus.
A Mississippi State Santa Claus.
Okay. All right. And Katie, I Venmo'd you $75.
I got you a headache wrap.
I was going to get you that also.
Y'all were going to give me 2 headache wraps?
You need it.
My kids use the fuck out of it. They get headaches too. I went home the other day. My kid was just wearing the headache wrap. Okay, 888 Stool 22. 888 Stool 22. BFW TJ doesn't make as much money as you. He makes twice as much as I He's the producer for The Yak, kind of a big deal. So here's a subject I really wanted to talk about tonight. John in Virginia, go ahead.
Yes, Brandon, Merry Christmas. I hope you like that gift. I wanted you to do me a favor for my beloved mother. She hates Tennessee probably as much as the next person.
Sure.
And I was wondering if you could just, I don't know, disgrace every Tennessee fan on the planet right now. I'll jump off here, go TCU.
Well, I mean, my thoughts about Tennessee are documented. I think Tennessee was a very good team this year. They have a very good coach, a very good quarterback, and it was nice to see them come back around and have a good year. What was not nice to see is the Tennessee fan base acting like, oh, my God, we were so missed. Oh, my God, college football could not continue on without us. Isn't college football so much better with Tennessee around? Not really. Not really. Didn't change my season one iota to have Tennessee back. Tennessee would write articles. Tennessee writers would write articles about how big of a deal it is to have Tennessee back in the national spotlight. Nobody gave a shit that it was Tennessee. It was nice to have a new team in the spotlight, but Tennessee doesn't move the needle one iota outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. There's nobody in Boise, Idaho that's just absolutely shaking with anticipation to see Tennessee on their screen. There's nobody in Missouri. There's nobody in North Dakota. There's nobody in New Jersey. There's nobody in Florida that's just absolutely titillated by the thought of Tennessee being good. And that's where their fan base is just absolutely delusional. Matt in Oklahoma, go ahead.
What's going on? Welcome back, Brandon.
Thank you.
Hey, just got a quick question for you tonight regarding a player prop. I dug in pretty deep, and this is the only play I got going for tonight. You kind of already mentioned that Georgia passing defense isn't too great. You mentioned Quentin Johnson. So the way I want to attack it is going to be Quentin Johnson, longest reception, over 33.5 is what my book has. He's went over 30 in his last 8 games and averaged 51.3 yards for his longest completion. And Georgia's given up this number 11 out of 14 games this year. Now, I will say the scary part is Tennessee and Oregon were 2 of those 3 games that they didn't give it up. But I just want to get your thoughts on that. Appreciate it, man.
Well, Oregon doesn't have anybody near as good as Quentin Johnson. Tennessee does. But Tennessee, that was also in Athens, and that was a special circumstance where that defense would have stopped Joe Montana that day with that fan base behind them the way they were. So I don't really consider that. I think that's a terrific bet. Is that almost even money?
I got it at minus 120. I did look at FanDuel and it was 35.
My bad. That's okay.
I didn't see it on Barstool.
That's okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't mind that prop at all. I like any scoring prop tonight. Any first touchdown just can be whoever, but any Brock Bowers to score touchdowns, any Quentin Johnsons to make big plays. And there's going to be big plays made in this game. There's going to be big plays made by both teams. 8-8 Stool 22. What is the real best Nooners flavor? It's peach. It's peach. Who's going to be the OC for Mississippi State? Don't know. Don't care yet. Don't know. Don't care. We'll figure it out. We'll be great. Who do you guys have, chat? TCU or Georgia? I noticed most of the money's on TCU. This country's so stupid. We used to be a proper country, man, who could watch football and think for ourselves, and now everybody's on TCU. Why? What do you see? This ain't Michigan. Michigan was scared to fucking death in that playoff. Michigan showed up in that playoff pissing down their leg. Do you think Georgia's going to do that? No. Come on. I believe this playoff, and if you want to clip this later, I believe this playoff, the 2022 playoff, will be remembered in 5 years or 10 years as the year that the Big Ten teams blew it. All right? Michigan had no business losing to this TCU team. None whatsoever. Michigan was better. Michigan had better players, better coaches. Michigan was flat out a better team than TCU, but they showed up to Arizona scared to death. They showed up and shit down their leg, and they were absolutely beaten from the time they got there. TCU was ready to play, and Michigan wasn't. They were terrified. Meanwhile, Ohio State was ready, and they played one of their best football games of the year, and they let Georgia off the hook. They outplayed Georgia for most of that game and let them up and let them survive. Ohio State should have won that game. This playoff will be looked on as when the Big Ten teams blew it. This could very well be Ohio State-Michigan tonight. Ohio State had a chance to beat a better team, probably should have, didn't. Michigan just choked it away, just absolutely choked. This could have been Michigan-Ohio State. Instead, it's Georgia-TCU, and Georgia's going to win by 40. Let's go with final score 55-28. That's what I'm going with. 55-27. 55-27 sounds better. 55-27. Georgia wins this game tonight. That's what I'm going with. 55-27. You remember 2 years ago when I nailed the score exactly? Yep. 52-24, Alabama over Ohio State. Nailed it.
Was last year your alt spread year?
The last 2 years have been all spread years, yes.
So what's the alt spread tonight?
I haven't given it out publicly because I don't have a whole lot of juice in the old account. But my alt spread is 13.5. Take it up to 19.5. Take it up to 20.5. Last year, I covered the alternate spread on the Keely Ringo pick 6 at the end. Will there be more Brandon Walker College Football Show post College Football Playoff? Okay, great question. Tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we are taking the we're leaving until we come back in the summer. We will come back before the season. We'll be back in late July or early August. I would assume early August. But we'll be back. We're sponsored by High Noon now, and with that, we get to take this break, and then when we come back, we will have it'll be revamped and new, and we'll be in our own. I think we'll be in our own studio. I've been told that, so yeah, we'll do it big when we get back. Have you told TJ happy birthday? I'm actually gonna wait a couple of weeks and then get him a birthday gift. What would be a good gift akin to getting Santa on January 9th? 888-STOOL-22.
Just give me a Rutgers birthday cake on like Valentine's Day.
You would take a Rutgers cake any day of the year.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna get a cake and eat it in the back of the stream tonight.
Right, yeah.
Alone.
I like the idea that you just get a Rutgers cake in the next hour.
Right.
Yeah.
I probably figured it out. You said 20.5?
Yeah. Is that what you're doing?
Plus 185.
That's not enough.
No, the furthest you can go is 23.5. Plus 245.
245? I mean, that's not.
That's so many points.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Since 2006, okay, the SEC has played another conference team 12 times. 12 times an SEC team has played a different conference team in this spot. 12 times. The number 13, the spread of 13, which is the spread tonight, would have been covered in 9 of those games. 9 out of those 12 games, the SEC team covered more than 13 points. When the SEC gets here, they dominate teams, usually outside of Clemson, the 2 games against Clemson, and actually it's 3 games against Clemson. And hold on, there's something wrong. I got somewhere. There's a glitch in the matrix somewhere. There's a glitch in the matrix because there's one more game there. Maybe I got maybe it's 9-4 because I got to include Florida State too. 888-STOOL-22. They beat Oklahoma by 10 in 2008. Well, I got the number mixed up. Doesn't matter. 888-STOOL-22. Phone line says there's no one to take your call. That's because it's full right now. Let's go to Isaac in Maine. Go ahead.
Hey, how we doing, Brandon?
Great. How are you?
Good. My grandfather went to the University of Iowa. I apologize about your not-so-good experience there. Yeah, that wasn't great. But my debate for you tonight is, do you fire Kirk Ferentz after 1999 to present?
Meaning, do you fire him now, even though he had one of the best he's had the run that he's had?
Yeah, for the time he's had.
Actually, Isaac, I think what we've got right now is an incredible example. An incredible example. Who is playing for the national championship tonight? The TCU. The TCU Horned Frogs. Okay, what did TCU do last year? A year and a half ago, They fired Gary Patterson, who had been there 20 years. Gary Patterson had had unprecedented success at TCU. Gary Patterson had had an incredible run, but that run was over, and it was time to evolve, and it was time to change TCU football. And they made the difficult decision to fire him. And now where are they? They're playing for a national championship. Now, not saying Iowa would be as an extreme an example, but Iowa does not play modern football. Iowa plays 1980s offense, 1970s offense, and you're not going to win the Big Ten playing 1970s offense. And as great as Kirk Ferentz has been in his 2 decades at Iowa, it is time for Iowa to modernize their program, and they need to cut ties as soon as they can. And that sounds like an asshole thing to say to somebody as great as Kirk Ferentz has been, but do you want to honor what's happened over the last 2 decades, or do you want to fucking win football games?
Yeah, we got to win football games. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Love the guy. But, damn, we really got to, win some football games. It's getting old.
Thank you very much. 888-STOOL-22. Thomas in Louisiana, are you picking TCU?
Yeah, I am. But, originally my first question was going to be about that 3-3-5, the matchup. But I just got some big news. I don't know if you heard about the halftime show. Apparently, LaDainian Tomlinson is going to walk out and fuck Christian Arcand in the ass. So, Riff Ram Bazoo, motherfucker, and...
Good Lord. That guy sat on the phone for 26 minutes for that. Good Lord. Who was LaDainian Tomlinson going to fuck in the ass? I didn't hear the name. Did y'all hear the name?
Whatever it was, I'm sure it was really funny.
No, it was super funny. I just want to make sure that we've got... what was the name that he said? TJ Hitching says, Hammer the Froggies. Is that you?
Yep.
Danny Meyer says, Iowa is a consistent winner. What the fuck do you mean? See how dumb people are? See how dumb people are? I just laid it out to you. TCU was a consistent winner too. Changed, and now they're playing for a national fucking championship.
Kirk reference.
Kirk who? Oh, Minahan?
Reggie Bush wants to fuck somebody that's a Kirk reference.
Okay.
That was a Kirk caller.
A Minahan caller? Oh, that's why it wasn't funny.
Right.
Yeah. 888-STOOL-22.
They just announced that you're playing dozen in Arizona.
Yes, I am. Up against the Yak. I'm defending... The experts are defending Arizona champions. We won the Arizona competition last year. Jackson in Oklahoma, go ahead.
All right, Brandon. If someone from the future came and told you TCU beats Georgia tonight, how would you say that happens?
Stetson Bennett struggled and couldn't get the car out of the ditch because he will struggle on you. He will go out there and be average or bad. He was bad against Ohio State for 2.5 quarters. And if he can't pull that out of the ditch, and if TCU builds too big of a lead, then they're fucked. But I just don't see he's a championship guy, and I don't see him having that struggle against a defense who's really not good at making quarterbacks struggle. The defense isn't very good. They played one team, TCU or Georgia has, who employs a 3-3-5 stack defense, and that happens to be the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Georgia scored 45 points. I don't really, and Mississippi State had a much better defense than TCU, so I don't really think they're going to have problems moving the ball tonight. So Stetson, I don't think, can tank this game. But if TCU were to win, it's because Stetson threw 3 picks, and did not have his best game.
Do you think maybe Georgia's defense is getting a little too much credit? And
way too much credit. Georgia's defense isn't very good. Georgia's defense is they were 49th against the pass in the regular season, and then Ohio State torched them. TCU is going to be able to move the ball. They just got to be able to keep up with Georgia, because I don't think Georgia's going to get stopped once. So TCU's got to maximize their opportunities.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. Did all these callers take an Ambien tonight, except for that Kirk guy who was clearly very funny? 888-STOOL-22. Brandon, how's the back? The back's good. The back's better. Katie, is my bruise gone?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked her if my bruise was gone earlier, and she said, "Oh, I can see your butt crack." That wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. If someone from the future came and told you that TCU would win, how much would you bet on it? Did I trust them? I don't. 888 Stool 22. Nick and Indy, go ahead.
Brandon Walker, I called in August and called the greatest college football mind of a generation a big dummy, because he said USC would be a fringe playoff team and Notre Dame would be a fringe top 25 team. And this is your receipt. I am stupid. I am the big dummy, and you were not.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. So often in this business, and I being the greatest college football mind in America, will say something, because, by the way, I thought TCU was going to be awful. We'll say something that's very wrong, and the only ones that come back to you are the wrong ones. That's the only ones that come back to your Twitter. It's the only ones that come back to the show usually. So it is nice when somebody acknowledges, hey, you hit one. I appreciate that, Nick and Indy.
Well, you are the only one in the country that's been right about Notre Dame for the last 4 or 5 years. So I thought you were due to be wrong on them. And, of course, you were right, because you're the greatest college football mind of our generation.
It really is weird. There's some teams I missed. I have hit Notre Dame every single year. And, by the way, not to suck his dick or anything because he called in, but look out for Notre Dame next year because they're going to be a fucking problem. That's all I'm saying. The schedule will ease up, and the quarterback – thank you very much for the call. 888 Stool 22. Let's check in on the chat. See how the chat's doing. Brandon, what are the 5 cars you would drive if money were no object? Okay, so this is where we are. This is where we are. I don't have a brother, Southern Skeptic. Do not have a brother. I don't know about cars. Well, my favorite cars, probably a 1970s era Ford Bronco. A big jacked up Jeep Wrangler. Early 2000s era Toyota Tacoma. Yeah, all big cars. Thoughts on the big game tonight? Who's playing? Who's playing tonight? Top 5 national title games you've seen? Great question. Let's do this together. So number 1 is USC Texas. If you want to put this out, USC Texas 2005. I can tell you the score, so it makes it Texas 41, USC 38, 2005. Number 2 is probably Florida State 31, Auburn 27 in 2013. Number 3, Clemson 45, Alabama 40, I think was the final score of that game. Number 4, that was 2016. Number 4, Miami, Ohio State 2002. It was 31-24 Ohio State in overtime. And number 5, it's raining heavy in LA. Good thing they got a fucking roof. Number 5, probably the Alabama-Clemson game before. I'm missing one. Probably the Alabama-Clemson game before the one Clemson won, the one Alabama won. 2015. No, fuck me. Alabama, Georgia, 2017. Alabama, Georgia, 2017. Alabama won 26-20 in overtime. Log Rap says, what happened to this show? Oh, it's always sucked. Show's always sucked. Show's never been good. Is Wisconsin now dangerous? I would say so. They got a coach. They got a quarterback. Yeah. They're in the dangerous category now. They play in a division with nobody else. I think they're going to get dangerous. Is no tailgating at the game the worst rule ever? Jonathan Irvin. I think this is the most talked about. This is the most over talked about thing in the history of the world. Why the fuck you tailgating in L.A.? Well, what are you doing? You taking a cooler? You putting a cooler on the plane going out to L.A.? Well, why are you tailgating at the fucking national championship game? This ain't Athens. This ain't fucking Podunk Southeast. This isn't. You can't just drive your car up there. Why? We're not tailgating at L.A. Go to the fucking game. It's fucking the game's at 4:30 in the afternoon out there. Go get you some dinner afterwards.
Can I make a counterpoint?
What's your opinion on the state of Miami? Trick question. It's a city. Yes.
National championship and the Final Four should never be in a city like LA.
Where should they be?
Atlanta, New Orleans, maybe like Houston or San Antonio.
Should be closer to where all the people are.
Something where you can like
All right.
walk around. Even like Columbus, I think would be fine.
Well, it'd be too cold.
Right. Like the Final Four last year in New Orleans was spectacular.
Yeah. New Orleans.
This year it's Houston. I don't know if Houston has like a walking culture.
Houston's not a good walking city. 888 still 22. How big of a loss was Devin Leary for NC State? It was devastating. Fucking devastating. Ryan in Michigan, go ahead.
Brandon, how you doing? You like trains, right?
Just going to go ahead and cut that one off. Trey in Florida, go ahead.
Brandon, how you doing, man? Good to talk to you.
Great. What's up?
Not much, man. Want to switch it up a little bit, go to the ACC, talk a little Florida State maybe. We've known for a couple weeks that, of course, Jordan Travis is going to return. And just a couple days ago, pretty much across the board, when you look at mock drafts, Jared Verse was expected to go top 10, and he'll be returning as well. My kind of take is I think Florida State potentially looks to be a top 10 preseason team next year, and Jordan Travis may be a Heisman favorite. Wanted to see what you thought about that, and looking forward to the ACC next year as well as Florida State specifically.
I don't think he'll be a favorite. I think he'll be a top 5 guy. So yeah, maybe you can't call that a favorite. Yeah, they'll be top 10. They'll be the favorite to win the ACC. They're going to be better than Clemson. I do worry about this new trend where I guess maybe NIL is doing it, where guys are not going to the draft. Like Jared Verse should go get his money. It's very dumb that he's not going to the NFL. It's very dumb that Blake Corum's not going to the NFL. I don't know why these guys are doing these things, but whatever. It's not my decision. But, yeah, Florida State will be very, very, very good. We'll be the best team in the ACC, and we'll be a dark horse national title contender.
I think it's awesome. My last question, I'll let you keep hopping around, but what do you think that is? I mean, why would a guy like Jared Verse expect to go 6 overall? The NIL is obviously keeping him here, but you can't bet on yourself. Injuries, all these other things that could potentially happen to the,
Well, I assume somebody at Florida State is giving him. I assume Florida State is giving him $1 million and talking him into staying and saying how great it is here and we're going to win a championship, and basically maybe potentially ruining the kid's future. Whatever. Also, you're kind of overstating Jared Verse. Jared Verse, good player. You had him going top 6. At first, you were top 10, then you were top 6. I'm not sure Jared Verse was a lock to go top 6. First round, I'll lock him in, but I don't know that he was going top 6. Like that's way up there, man. 888 still 22. Will Washington compete for a playoff spot? Yeah, why not? Why not? Why blow up my spot? Because we both got hot. Josh in Hattiesburg, go.
Brandon, what's up, man? Is Mike Bobo the new OC? Is that what we're doing?
He's not.
So who's going to take the spot?
Don't know. We probably won't know for another week or so.
Who would you like?
Would have liked Kendall Briles. That would have been good. As far as I know, I don't know. I'm not versed enough in young offensive coordinators. Zach Arnett is being trusted to be the guy, so I'm just going to trust him to make the hire. Mike Bobo was always just a weird thing to put out there. That was never going to be it. It was never going to fit. But our fan base needs to relax and chill. We played a game a week ago. We're not playing another game for 8 months. We got time to find us an offensive coordinator. We don't have to rush this thing. So let's all just chill out and drink some beer, and we'll be okay. Thanks. 888 still 22. I got more Mac than Craig and in the bed. Believe me, sweetie, I got enough to feed the needy. You know that song? You know what's crazy about that song? Biggie asked the fellas not to shoot up the club that night. Instead of just agreeing to it, they were like, why? Why wouldn't I shoot up the club? And his reasoning was there were young women there that he wanted to impregnate. Don't shoot up the club. Why? Because I see some ladies tonight that should be having my baby. That's the only reason, not the loss of life, not the fact that you could die just because you see some women you'd like to impregnate with your semen. Oh, when you say it like that, it doesn't sound that sexy. Thoughts on Mercedes Moné and NJPW? It's weird, Jackson Dobbs. It's really weird. She got no reaction whatsoever, and I'm not used to seeing no reaction. I need pops. I need fans. I need excitement. Honestly, I hope she comes to AEW so she gets it. Also, the meal that Biggie planned at his hotel was ridiculous. A T-bone steak, cheese, egg, and Welch's grape. What? That's just too much. You're eating all that? And you're going to conversate for a few, and in a few we're going to do what we came to do. Ain't that right? Just one person to just in my life just to say true, and that would have been great. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, when I was dead broke, I couldn't picture this. I'll just be doing my 90s rap lyrics by myself now. Don't mind me. Is Joe Milton good now? Yeah, listen, here's the thing about Tennessee. If the assumption by other fans, and I was guilty of it, but now I've realized I've come around on it. If the assumption by other fans is Tennessee can't be good next year because Hendon Hooker is gone, it's a wrong assumption. If Josh Heupel was able to make miracles with Hendon Hooker, who, by the way, before Tennessee was not good at Virginia Tech. He was an average quarterback. He goes to Josh Heupel, and he turns into a stud. If he did that with Hendon Hooker, why the fuck couldn't he do it with Joe Milton? He could. So if you think Tennessee's just going to die next year because Hendon Hooker's gone, that's not true. That's not set in stone. 888-STOOL-22. 888-STOOL-22. We go to Cole in Tampa. Right after that, Thompson, Chicago, coming your way. So, Cole in Tampa, go.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing today?
Great. What's up?
Nothing much. I like to think of today as one of the best days and one of the worst days of the year because we get the national championship, but then we don't got football for 8 more months. Yeah. But it's pretty simple. Last year I called in and we both hit on that alternate spread with Georgia. Was it -9.5 on that Ringo pick six?
Yep.
There's no way Georgia doesn't win by at least 17. I have them alt spreaded at -16.5. Like that's just it's ridiculous. You know, every sucker is on TCU. You go ahead and be on TCU.
Can I just
football?
Let me just ask a question
smart.
there. Let me ask a question. Everybody's on TCU. Fucking why?
Exactly.
I understand maybe this season you watch TCU and you don't want to doubt TCU and everything, but
Fine.
How many times, if you look at the last 20 years of national championship games, it is littered with blowouts, littered with elite teams playing other teams and just absolutely just blowing them off the field. And this game right here has all the earmarkings of a team who's got elite talent just absolutely pissing on a team who's got inferior talent to them. I don't understand what people – I understand that TCU was a dog against Michigan and they beat them. Michigan ain't Georgia. All right, Michigan ain't Georgia. That quarterback stinks. That running game was non-existent. They were soft. They were scared. Georgia ain't gonna be scared. They stared down. They stared down Alabama in this spot. You think they're gonna be scared of TCU?
Would I be happy if TCU won?
I'd be ecstatic. It'd be one of the best stories. And Georgia's a bunch of douchebags. I'd love to see them get knocked off. Go ahead.
Logically, it's Georgia. And by the way, I'm already looking at playoff tickets for next year and ACC championship tickets next year.
No, I don't.
I'm buying in.
I don't want to do this.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to do this.
I'm sorry.
I've had 3 Florida State guys calling and want to get their flowers already. You guys are going to be douchebags all off season, right? You guys are going to want your attention all off season, aren't you?
I won't be a douchebag to you, not to the UF, Miami, and Clemson, and every other person, especially LSU. I will be another douchebag, but to you, I'm not going to be a douchebag. I'm just going to be rational. I'm already looking at playoff tickets. Georgia minus 17. Book it. Don't be a sucker.
Thank you. Also, stop saying sucker. Thomas in Chicago, go.
Hey, Brandon. Hope your holiday break was good. TJ, you too, and everyone else in the booth. Before I do my office trivia and my take, I think people are betting on TCU because they don't want to be the suckers who get off the TCU Cinderella story and then lose. So they want to ride out and then say, hey, guess what? We ran into the 800-pound gorilla with chainsaw as you compare them to. I feel like that's why people are on TCU. They want to ride it out as long as they can.
Sure. Well, not every ride has a pleasant ending.
Yeah, I know. I mean, to put this in together, it's like Georgia has always showed up when they need to show up. Tennessee this year, Alabama in the championship game last year, and then LSU in the SEC game, title game. I mean, it's speaking for a blowout.
Yeah, I TCU has been able to hang close and beat some good teams this year. They haven't played anybody nearly as good as Georgia, and Georgia's played TCU several times. So I don't see it. If you guys love TCU, that's fine. But look at it. Most of the public is on TCU. That doesn't scare you at all? It doesn't sound a little bit too saccharine? Doesn't it sound a little too perfect? 888-STOOL-22. Jimmy Davis says, just glad Alabama's not involved in this championship game. Agreed, brother. Agreed. It's nice just not to have to see Alabama tonight. It really is. Tim in Philly, go.
Hey, what's up, man? Big fan.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, so two things. One, I'm all in on Georgia tonight. I'm with you. Two, I was at Penn State versus Purdue yesterday, again at the Palestra. That Purdue team stinks. E-Day, they're losing in the town. They got a big man. And then three, I am all in on this take that Will Levis is going to suck in the NFL. That's all I got. Big fan. I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, brother. You're showing up to get on a take that I had 6 months ago. I sniffed this shit out in May of last year. Whenever the pro scout guys started to drool about Will Levis and say he's a first round pick, I was way ahead of that. I'm a day one on that shit. Billy Butcher says TCU could just be the team of destiny. Name the last one. Name the last team of destiny in college football. I'll wait. I'll wait. Jason Bradley says the best team TCU played all year was Kansas State. Yes, Kansas State beat them and would have beat them if their quarterback hadn't got hurt the other time. Eight at 8. Still 22. Ben in OKC, go ahead.
Hey, Brandon. I feel like we've touched on pretty much everything for the game tonight. So I kind of wanted to talk to you, pivot from my original question, which is Lincoln Riley, Tulane. Obviously, you can tell where I'm coming from, so you know where my allegiances, lie. But I think at some extent of the purpose is that either Alex Grinch has something on him or Lincoln Riley is actually committed to just the theory that if I score more points than them, that they're not going to be successful. It just seems to be copy-pasted.
All right. What you're saying is correct, but I got to shit on you a little bit, okay?
Go for it. I think it's fair. I mean, listen, your co-host does Casey, she does the classic, of course we're mad online, right? Of course people, the rational thought is, yes, we're still pissed about it, and we had a losing season.
Yeah.
I think that online fan bases continuously, project the reality of different things, right? And I'm trying to come at this at a little bit of a level head because let's be honest, they're not that. I just don't see a ceiling for USC if that's going to continue to be their defensive strategy.
I think the ceiling for USC is yet to be determined because keep in mind this was his first year and he did win 11 games with a really bad defense, a really shitty defense. The only problem with that, if you're elevating their ceiling, you do have to account for the fact that Alex Grinch has never been good. He was bad at Oklahoma. He was bad at Oklahoma, and he was bad at USC. And somehow he keeps cashing checks with Lincoln Riley. And I don't understand how a guy who can create Heismans, a guy who can win a bunch of games, and Lincoln Riley wants to sink his chances with a bad defensive coordinator. On the other hand, as right as you are, you guys just went 6-7, man.
7-7. That bowl loss counts as a win for us.
How?
I mean, your coach leaves and takes your Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Come on. Give us a nice stuff.
Oh, you're saying the Tulane win counts for you?
Correct, yes. I'm willing to put that on the record.
And I've just got to say something. You guys are a top 10 program in this country, one of the blue bloods. Fucking act like it. Don't act like Tulane beating USC was something to help you guys because it wasn't. That's fucking pathetic. Jesus Christ. That's like watching some other dude fuck your ex and you counting it as one of your bodies, or a girl that you wanted to fuck. That's I fucked her. Was it really? No, what his dick did. That doesn't count. Good Lord. Jesus Christ. That's what Oklahoma fans, decently smart fan base, have seen a lot. It's a good program. But Lincoln Riley broke him, man. He broke him. Almost died. Alex in Omaha, go.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing this evening?
I'm sure I'm fine.
I'm glad to hear that. So, my question is, of course, in reference to the quarterback playing tonight for TCU, Max Duggan. Gatorade player of the year in Iowa. The big Husker guy, allegedly, growing up. And, of course, if you remember the year prior when Scott Frost was hired, he went balls to the wall to get Adrian Martinez instead of Joe Burrow. And then, of course, now seeing Max Duggan's final inevitable destination. Is this going to be just the last nail in the coffin as a fuck you to Scott Frost and hopefully the epitome of our suffering? Or is it just another case of lightning in the bottle and we were just destined to be bad regardless? Thanks. Have a good night, guy.
College football fans. Tonight, we're having a national championship game. The two finest teams in the sport for this season will play to determine who takes home the brass ring, who wins the whole thing. It's the biggest game in the sport, and it happens in about 37 minutes. And this Nebraska fan calls, this is the psychosis of a college football fan. It's always about my team. It's always about my team. I'm going to call in and ask about Max Duggan and how it affects Nebraska. Nobody gives a good goddamn popcorn fart about Max Duggan in Nebraska. All right? Good for Max Duggan that he got to TCU and didn't have to go to that shithole in Lincoln. Fuck! Not that Lincoln's a bad place, but Max Duggan has nothing to do with Nebraska. He's at TCU. I'm not judging Max Duggan on what he did and to Nebraska. He is from Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is Nebraska. It's more in Nebraska than it is Iowa. You fired Scott Frost. You got Matt Rule. Don't worry about what Scott Frost did. Don't worry about what Scott Frost did to your program. He's gone. You can't blame him anymore. You're going to want to. You're going to lose a game next year and say, well, Scott Frost. No, he's not your coach anymore. Done. Finished. 888 Stool 22. And also, let me tell you this, one other thing. If you have a person in your life who has opened doors for you, opened every door possible for you, and has given you a career that you never thought possible, and just did it out of the goodness of his heart and gave you a break, and if you had that man, would you give him on January 9th a Santa Claus figurine with a college logo on it? Would you do? Is that what you would give him? Think about this. I'm just talking about college football fans in general. This is not specific to this show. But my God, the man gave you life. Gave you everything, just on a silver platter. Here's the Yak. Here's the Brandon Walker College Football Show. Here's a career. Here's the Pro Football Show. Here's your life. Thank you. Here's Santa Claus. It's January 9th.
So Mississippi State Santa Claus.
If you weren't watching earlier, this was my Christmas present presented to me tonight from TJ. It is Santa's Secret, Mississippi State University. It's I maybe use that camera, or the glare is just too much. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're good. It's Santa with an MSU logo on him. That's what he gave me. I gave him a new salary. I gave him new shows. I gave him everything that he'll ever become is because of me. Katie, meanwhile, gave me a wrap to put around my head for headaches. Much more thoughtful gift.
I gave you something else, too.
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, Christmas special?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I gave that to my kid. Okay, that one's very good. That one works. That one works. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I'm not sure anybody on the Yak Christmas special took home the gifts that they actually got.
I think Nick uses the speaker pretty often, and everybody else sort of.
I don't. The air fryer was just the air fryer that Kyle got was just in the office for a couple of weeks. Somebody eventually took it home. I gave away all the weed. I gave the $200 to homeless guys. I don't know what I kept out of Big Cat's box. I gave the fitness stuff to Stephen Shea. Whatever. I don't have to go to 59. Can I go ahead and end it right now? Because I got to pee before I leave. All right, folks. National Championship, Georgia 55, TCU 27. We'll see you tomorrow night.